Pleasure.
Okay, joining us now, Democratic Senator Elissa Slotkin of Michigan. She's a member of the Armed Services Committee. And one of the things that you wanted to talk about today is the No Troops in Our Streets Act, and that comes upon more news on that front. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I just felt the need to lay out sort of popping a flare on the authoritarianism that we are seeing and the playbook that is being run by the president, whether he knows it or not. And one of the things that, I think most Americans don't like to see is troops in our streets. And he's flirted with not just putting National Guard on the streets, but putting active duty military on the streets, giving them law enforcement responsibilities to arrest, to detain. And so I just realized as a new senator that there's not an easy way to immediately, pull back on the president if he's putting troops against the will of local authorities in someone's streets. And so I put out a bill yesterday that does that, basically, and would allow us to have a voice when troops from Texas are being put into Chicago or when he wants to federalize uniformed military.
Senator, yesterday afternoon, the Wall Street Journal reported that the Pentagon, the so-called Department of War, had, let me get the language right, had ordered forces to focus on, quote, rapid mobilization of troops against Americans. This comes the same day the president said the courts wouldn't stop him from using the Army, the Air Force, the Marines, the National Guard against Americans across the country. What in the hell is going on? And I guess I could ask, where's the Supreme Court right now? But where is the Senate? Where is the House on this?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think what we're experiencing under President Trump is one of the biggest reorientations of the U.S. military towards, obviously, our near abroad and what's happening in the Caribbean, but the use of force inside the United States. I mean, it is significant what we are seeing. And yesterday's announcement is just another piece of that, standing up units that are going to focus on quelling unrest. Again, is something that, as someone who did 3 tours in Iraq and places abroad, served abroad, I've only seen this kind of thing in other countries. And we don't imagine that it would be happening here. But the president has really just a very fundamentally different view of how he should use people in uniform and federal law enforcement. And he's building units and reorienting away from things like China, by the way. I mean, the last segment, I think it's pretty clear that if we were healthy as a country, if Democrats and Republicans were disagreeing but doing it in a healthy, responsible way, we'd be focused on China and tech issues and how we're going to compete in the next 50 years. We'd be focused almost exclusively on that. But instead, the president has reoriented. He's rewriting all these strategies to focus on the homeland. Fine. That sounds fine on paper, but it's about using uniformed military inside the United States. Completely and fundamentally un-American in my mind.
Senator, good morning. Another more immediate concern is the government shutdown now in day 30. SNAP benefits, as you know well, will run out across the country for 42 million people. That's food assistance on Saturday. Josh Hawley, your Republican colleague, has introduced a bill to fund just SNAP, at least until the government shutdown ends. Would you support that?
Absolutely. And I was actually really happy to see, I think there's 9 Republicans who have already co-sponsored that bill. But I just want to be really clear, just to understand, there is a contingency fund for SNAP that was set up for this exact reason, so that we never use hunger for people as a weapon in any kind of political battle. It's there for that reason, and President Trump and his party could absolutely open the taps today, this hour, if they wanted to. They are making a choice to hold that hostage when there's a fund that is ready to go right now. Short of that, if Josh Hawley has a bill, let's vote on it today. Republican leaders are refusing to put a Republican bill on the floor of the Senate. This is the kind of weaponizing of food and hunger that I think is just, for me, beyond the pale of what most Americans, they're frustrated. I get it with Washington. They have a right to be. But to weaponize food by choice, to me, is something completely different. And it's creating a scenario where, the Republicans are like, look, you either get food or you get some change on your health care, but you don't get both. And that's the setup that the dynamic that they've created. And I'm part of a group that's actually talking to Republicans. We're having those conversations. We're trying to be productive and get to the end of this. But my Republican colleagues have now chose to weaponize food. And again, I think that goes beyond the pale.
Democratic Senator Elissa Slotkin of Michigan, always good to see you. Thank you for coming on the show this morning, Jonathan.
So, Steve, let's